welcome back to another exciting math lesson. For today's lesson, we are going to continue working with integers, and we are also going to talk about something called absolute value. So let's go ahead and put the heading on our paper. So the title is going to be Integers, Absolute Value and Addition. Make that a little bigger. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with defining what is absolute value. Absolute value is the distance away from zero. All right, so if I, for example, of course we always do examples, if I had -4 and I wanted to find the absolute value of -4, the sign that would indicate find the absolute value would be these two little lines on both sides of it. So this example here represents find the absolute value of -4. And if I were to put this on a number line, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. That would be -4. The absolute value asks you how far away from 0 is this integer. So we just count. 1, 2, 3. It's 4 places from 0. So the absolute value would be 4. All right, another example, find the absolute value of +6. And what this means is how many places away from 0 is the integer +6. That's right, the answer is 6. It is 6 places away from 0. All right, so basically you're just looking at whether or not it is the distance away from 0. So if it's a positive or negative, it really doesn't matter for finding absolute value because you're just counting the number of places away from that 0. All right, let's do maybe 2 more examples of this. Let's find the absolute value of -13. What is the absolute value of -13? That's right, it is 13 because it is 13 places away from 0. The absolute value of 10. That's right, the absolute value of 10 is 10. All right, if you still are unsure about absolute value and you need a little bit more assistance, please raise your hand and ask your teacher, and we'll come over and do a couple more examples with you. If not, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the lesson, which is adding. And today we're just going to focus on adding integers with the same signs. So we're going to just put a little mini heading here. Addition using same signs. Okay, and there's really a very simple rule for adding integers with the same sign. You add the absolute values and put the same sign that's already there. So the rule is add the absolute values of both integers and keep the sign the same. Okay, so add the values of both integers and keep the sign the same. Okay, so again, we always do examples. Today's examples, let's start with -4 plus -4. I'm going to put my negatives in parentheses just so you don't confuse them with the adding and subtracting signs. So I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around there just so it's less confusing. Okay, so what's the absolute value of negative 4? 4 plus absolute value of negative 4. 4 equals 8. And which sign am I seeing here? Are they both positive or are they both negative? That's right, they are both negative, so I'm going to keep that negative sign the same. Okay, let's move on to another example here. Let's do 6 plus 2. Very simple problem, right? But I want to take you through the steps because they are both positive numbers, just like we do with the negative numbers. The absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of 2 is 2. My answer is 8. And I'm going to keep this one positive because the 6 and the 2 are both positive. Easy enough. Let's do one more example with the negatives. Negative 9. Remember, I'm just using parentheses so I don't confuse them with the addition sign. Plus negative 3. What's the absolute value of negative 9? That's right, it's 9 because it is 9 places away from the 0. Plus, what's the absolute value of negative 3? 3, that's right, because it is 3 places from 0. So 9 plus 3 is 12. And I'm going to keep my signs the same, so since they're both negative, my answer is going to be negative. And that's it for today's lesson. So you may raise your hand and ask your teacher for the homework.